The Cybertruck, well, it seems like a flop. Missed promises, too expensive, and let's be real, this design is divisive. But here's the thing. Every time I get behind the wheel, it becomes my favorite car to drive. I am not alone in that sentiment. And I think Tesla has a true opportunity here to really make this car popular. The problem is, I don't know that they're actually going to do it. Quick history lesson here. Back in 2019, Tesla unveiled the Cybertruck, a car that most people thought was a joke and that would never hit the roads, but fast forward, it actually exists. Now from that announcement to release, there was a ton of time, but that also came with tons of pre-orders, over 1 million of them. And so it seemed that even though it was a very, let's say, interesting design, well, it seemed that people actually wanted them. But then we got the Cybertruck we have today. And the reality is, deliveries on this are slow. Sales were under 40,000 in 2024, even with, a purported 1 million pre-orders. And if you go to really any Tesla dealer, including mine right here that you're looking at, Cybertrucks are piling up. They are everywhere, but they're not on the roads. And even with that, well, personally, I still love this thing. Getting behind the wheel truly is different than any other car on the market. And for me, there's really 3 main things that set Cybertruck apart from any other car on the road. The biggest for me is steer-by-wire. I'm still surprised that Tesla has not brought this to more of their vehicles. They did a Model S and X refresh, and they didn't bring this along with it. That was a huge missed opportunity, I think, especially considering the yoke was already in the S and X. This would have been perfect for that. And you would think that maybe this would lower the cost on, a Model 3 or Y since they are using electronic components. Maybe the cost just isn't there right now, but they didn't bring it to any of the other cars, even though they've announced new models since having steer-by-wire. But to me, this is the feature that makes this car the perfect daily driver. And that's not something I typically say of trucks. I mean, I live here in Utah. Everyone uses a truck as their main car, whether they're doing work with it or not. Everything from a soccer mom to, a blue collar worker. Trucks are everywhere, and that's not really a surprise. And the thing that I've always felt with trucks is that they just really suck to drive. And this is from, small pickup trucks all the way to heavy duty trucks. I mean, I just don't find them very enjoyable. Even my Lexus GX, which I love for its intended purpose of, going off-roading and overlanding, it is not a fun car to drive every single day. It's slow, it's big, you can feel the body roll. I mean, that feel and that idea is what you kind of expect from a truck, but Cybertruck is different. And even more so than something like Rivian, which has the EV drivetrain, so it feels very fast and nimble. Suspension is great there, but adding on top of that steer-by-wire just takes it to a whole other level. And for me, that's why even when you're comparing different EV trucks, Cybertruck in terms of drive still comes out on top. For me, still, the reason why Cybertruck is so appealing is that you get all of the Tesla features, specifically full self-driving and all the tech that comes with that, but you can, use the utility of it like a truck. So I can come out to a nice campsite like this, which I do all the time in my normal life. I just have the Tesla with me. But when you're coming out somewhere like this is where today's sponsor really can come in handy, and that's 3W floor mats. If you look where I am standing, well, it's dirt. And that means as soon as I get back in this thing, there's gonna be dirt everywhere. In fact, check out these footprints right now. After getting in and out just once, you can see just how dirty this already is. So yeah, having floor mats that are easy to clean, but also that give you a bunch of functionality, I think is super important. And that's exactly what 3W has developed here, because they have a few really cool features built in. One of the best things about 3W is that each floor mat is specifically designed for your car, so it's going to fit perfectly. 3W uses 3D laser scanning to map the inside of your car, which means that the floor mat will, raise over lips and fit perfectly so that it catches any mess or spill. For the Cybertruck here, you get full protection. So there's floor mats for the front and rear, plus you get a liner for the bed that will protect and keep that easier to clean. And you get mats for the sub-trunk and the frunk as well. So you get full protection, but you even get more than that. One of my favorite features is with this, you get essentially 2 floor mats in one. On this side, I have the liner that is covered with carpet, so you have a nice and soft plush feel. But then on the driver's side where I am, here I removed the carpet section, and now all you see is my dirty footprints, but these are super easy to clean. I have all this mess here with all this dirt. I can just pull it out, rinse it off, and it's ready to go. So if you are in the market or want to pick this up, right now is the perfect time because 3W is celebrating their brand day from September 9th through the 30th, which is right now. So if you check out the link down in the description and order through there, you can get 35% off your order. Or if you're going through Amazon, you can get $50 off, and those links will be down below. So yeah, with really any car you have, 3W has an option for you. So if you're in the market or you're looking for a great deal, right now is the time to buy. Again, check out that link down in the description and pick up some floor mats. Like I said, one of the other reasons I enjoy the Cybertruck is because you get all that utility, but it's also a Tesla. And that, applies to a bunch of different cars. That's not unique to Cybertruck, but what is unique about it is that you get full self-driving. Now, this is one area that is kind of a pro and a con, because even though it does have self-driving, it is not to the level of something you get with like the Model Y. To me, FSD in the Cybertruck feels kind of like a hardware 3 vehicle, even though this is hardware 4. It has more hesitations, it has less features, and when I, go back and forth from like a Model Y with hardware 3 to the Cybertruck, they feel pretty similar. Whereas if you go to a current Juniper Model Y, that feels robo-taxi level most of the time. If Model Y Juniper was at like 99%, Cybertruck is probably at 90. Both still very good and better than anything else on the market by far, but it's not quite the same. So that's where some of the issues of FSD with the Cybertruck come from. But then you have the other side of that coin, which is this car drives itself, and considering it's a truck and so big, it does a really good job at that. To me, FSD is still like the selling point for a Tesla. My wife and I are in the market for a new EV, and every time we look and every time we try a new one, we just keep coming back to the fact that Tesla right now is doing such a better job of being able to drive you around. Other cars have assistance, other cars do a really good job on the highway, but when it comes to just driving you anywhere and everywhere, you just can't beat Tesla right now. And that is no different in the Cybertruck. With all that being said, I stand by it. I think it's all true. And if I had to buy a truck right now, it would be the Cybertruck. It seems there's not that many other people that agree with me. And I think there's a few main things Tesla could do to change opinion and sell more of these trucks. You can go on really any website, any forum, any YouTube video, look at the comments about a Cybertruck, and they are all talking about nearly the same thing. Well, maybe two things. One is just, the design and functionality of the truck. People say, it's not a real truck, and that just simply isn't the case. Are there other trucks that do better things than this? Yes, but to say it's not a truck, we're not even gonna address that, honestly. It is a truck. I've used it for truck things. I've hauled loads with it. I've gone to Home Depot, do all the things that I would do with any other truck. You can do that with the Cybertruck as well. But probably the biggest thing that I see is that the reason this thing isn't selling is just too expensive. Tesla promised a $39,000 starting price, and well, that never even came close to being what we got. In fact, they just dropped the rear-wheel drive model here in the US and Canada. You can't even buy that model anymore. So now with the tax credit, which is going away in a few days, the lowest price you get is in the mid 70,000 range, which is a lot of money, especially if you're, reserving this truck for it to be a $40,000 truck. Now it's at a $75,000 truck. That's just not gonna work. Add on to that the fact that the range is not that great. It's not horrible, but it's not the 500 miles that was promised, and you can see why people were not excited about this. And they canceled that range extender, which I didn't know how that was gonna work anyway, so it makes a ton of sense that they canceled it, but that was some hope that people had that, this would get more range. That just didn't happen. So I think Tesla, at the very least, needs to drop the price. And if they're not willing to do that, they need to at least add more range and different options. They need to make sure production and fit and finish is more dialed than it is right now. And I think they also need to stop, promoting this as like some futuristic truck and instead just say like, hey, this is a cool car that looks different than anything else on the road that also drives better than pretty much anything you've ever driven before. I think of it almost like the G-Wagon from Mercedes, which, the current version is a decent car to drive, but before that, they weren't fun to drive. They didn't maneuver very well, but they looked cool, they had utility, and people wanted them. that's something they could do with the Cybertruck as well. But with that being said, there have been some leaks and rumors that are pointing to the future of the Cybertruck and what that might look like. And there's a few things that we have seen. First is that apparently they are working on and exploring the idea of a smaller version of the Cybertruck. And this could help for a bunch of reasons. First is that more people would be able to be comfortable driving it, since a lot of people don't like driving trucks because of their size. If there was a smaller version, that could really come in handy and convince a lot more people to actually get one. But that would also help with bringing it to other countries, something that they could do and easily raise sales there. If they had a smaller version of the Cybertruck, now it would fit into cultures like in the UK where the streets are very small and pickup trucks are not as popular. If it was smaller and more utilitarian, well, that might actually help. Another thing that Tesla could do that we actually got kind of a leak on from the Tesla Master Plan 4 video that they released on Labor Day. In the back of one of the shots, you see this. And I don't know about you, but this looks very much like a cyber SUV design. Trucks are cool and all, but there's no doubt SUVs are where the market is at. People want them, and they want them in all sizes, from very small, like the Model Y, to very big, like, an Escalade. So if Tesla offered the Cybertruck, but as an SUV, well, that could definitely, raise some excitement and cause more people to buy it. Think of Rivian. When they first released the R1T, everyone loved it. It was a great car. It was one of my favorite cars ever. But as soon as the R1S was released, they're everywhere. I see R1Ss every single day, much more so than the truck version. And I can't imagine that would be much different for Tesla. Here's the thing. I know the Cybertruck is a divisive car. People love it, people hate it. Very few people that are in the middle. But when you actually get behind the wheel of it, it's a car that actually feels like it delivers on the promise that was made. It's a car that feels futuristic, that brings new technologies in, that gives you utility, and that looks different than anything else on the road. And so that's why I think Tesla should invest in getting this truck into more people's hands. Because I think once people get behind the wheel, they do see where the appeal is. I don't personally know anyone that has gotten behind the wheel and gotten into the truck that doesn't start to love it. And so even though right now it seems Cybertruck is turning into the next Model S and X, that is, a very expensive top tier car that only certain people who can afford it will ever get, I think they have the opportunity to make it a truck that is the new default. If you're in the market for a new EV, that this would be the truck to get. But it just isn't right now.